Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing well out there. Just getting started, chapters 11 and 14 from the Global Communications textbook had a lot of good questions to discuss and talk about. But the question I chose for my Unit 4 video essay was, what is black, white, and gray propaganda? This question is from chapter 11 of the textbook. If I'm being honest, I really didn't know that propaganda could be broken up into three different types, and I found this to be very interesting when I was reading about it in the book. And this is why I chose the question for my video essay. Just to dive in, I'm sure that we are all aware that during World War II, propaganda was an important tool for all sides, pretty much everyone, really. Um, and a lot of time and effort went into propaganda for World War II, whether it was during the wartime or during at home advertising. The extensive use of propaganda developed the formal definitions of white, black, and gray propaganda. Black propaganda is a form of propaganda that claims to be from a source on one side of a conflict, but it's actually from the opposing side, whose origin is completely concealed, so no one knows who the source is and where it comes from. White propaganda is propaganda that comes from a source that is identified correctly, and the information in the message tends to be accurate for the most part. While the information given is close to the truth, it is presented in a way that tries to get the audience to think that the sender of the message is one of the good guys. And gray propaganda is kind of in the middle of white and black, I think. So gray propaganda is where the correct source of information is never directly identified, and the accuracy of the information is uncertain. So basically, black propaganda is information put out by an opposing source made to look as though it is from a friendly source. White propaganda is when the origin of the source is clearly known and had a transparent purpose, and gray propaganda is information from a questionable source that is never directly identified and whose information might be highly questionable. So a modern example of black propaganda was probably during one of a modern example was during the 2016 presidential campaign. A picture had been distributed via Twitter that said people could vote early if they text the word Hillary to a certain number. This message was false because we all know that it's not possible to vote via text message. The actual identity of the source was unknown, and although the purpose of the ad wasn't stated, it was likely created to convince some naive voters that you could vote for Hillary Clinton without having to physically go to a voting poll. And by doing this, it would allow people who fell for the ad to be tricked into giving up their vote. I think this was a pretty good example of black propaganda. I think a good example of white propaganda was during World War One, where propaganda would kind of lure men into joining the army by playing on their emotions and making them believe that by joining the army, it was the right decision and it was the right thing to do, and they were making the right decision. And I think gray propaganda is pretty widespread. I think sometimes people do it without really knowing that they're doing it. One simple and easy example of this can be when people create false advertisement to say that a product can achieve a certain goal or result that it really can't, and that result or goal hasn't been proven. Or if someone says they're raising money to give to a charity, it turns out they're using the money to do something else. I think this is a few examples of gray propaganda. So I think white propaganda kind of speaks for itself, but I think there's some gray area between the difference of gray and black propaganda. So, black propaganda is when a content is produced and designed to sabotage someone's competitor. Some of the most effective black propaganda looks as if it's produced by a legitimate source, but if there's anything about it that gives it away as a falsehood released by the opposition, then it becomes gray propaganda. Black propaganda can either be true or false, but it's defined by the reason that it's released and the crucial element of being completely believable. And I think since the advancement of modern technology, the internet provides a good medium for black propaganda because all kinds of things can be uploaded to the internet, and the person or source can be completely anonymous. So thanks for watching my video. I hope this is somewhat helpful in regards to part of Unit 4's reading, and I look forward to reading you guys' responses and to watching your video essays as well about questions from Unit 4. So I hope everyone has a good week.